The spring of 2020 felt like a mad dash to digitize. Every aspect of my college life went remote with just 1 week to prepare for both me and all of my professors. Not one to be left out, the Lindner College of Business Career Services began offering online learning sessions in response to the pandemic while also wanting to still provide helpful information to students who were stuck at home. I ended up attending a virtual Nielsen review of marketing trends in July of 2020. Nielsen is a leading marketing research company, and I've viewed some of their resources before. They're very cool to check out. This talk was led by Todd Hale, and it was called UC plus Nielsen, COVID-19 Impact on Market Research. As someone interested in marketing research, I was very eager to attend this conversation. It was led by the company's marketing intelligence leader, and he outlined everything from actions for marketers to how consumerism was changing as a result of the pandemic. He shared advice that brands should adapt to be voices of reasons, which is a move that could pay off in the long run, especially since everything was so hectic and confusing at the start of the pandemic. He also reported on some of Nielsen's preliminary data on consumers' pandemic purchasing habits, demonstrating that projects like toilet paper were selling at record levels. He also touched on various types of food, like cereal, that were selling better than others. Leaving this session, a few key questions came to mind, and I've continued to reflect on these from time to time as the pandemic has dragged on. How had businesses adapted so fast to the pandemic, and what was left for them to do as the months unfolded? What would marketing look like, since that's the field that I want to go into after college? For this research project, I first examined the impact of COVID-19 on marketing as a profession. Then I explored its impact on marketing as a business tool. How had research changed, and how had consumer behavior changed in and of itself? As someone interested in marketing research, it's no surprise that I enjoyed this project quite a bit. I got to explore perspectives ranging from websites to published reports and interviews that I conducted with various professionals. Some of my go-to resources for marketing information, like HubSpot, the American Marketing Association website, and the Harvard Business Review, had great information for me. I also came across new sources like Green Book Research and the Marketing Research Society, which I hope to tap into as I continue my professional life. Throughout all of my research, I came to one major conclusion. Marketing has changed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and many of the new practices in place are here for good. The CMO survey of 2021 reported that new strategies developed during the pandemic will likely continue to play an integral role when it comes to business post-pandemic. The respondents gave this a confidence rating of 5.6 out of 7, so they're pretty sure that new strategies, new procedures, new processes are here for good. And I'm excited to explore what those look like. It's also unique because my internships right now have all taken place since the pandemic began, so I don't have much to compare them to when it comes to the way things used to be. But it's great that I'm learning the new strategies that will continue to play such a key role in the marketing field. Another resource I utilized, called Optimizely, provided some interesting insight on new channels that people are relying on for marketing efforts. There was a 64% increase in social, email, and other content channels overall since the start of the pandemic. This is huge because that's the way that marketers talk to people, and it's not just saying that they only rely on email or they only rely on social media like some may believe, but instead, across all of these channels, influence has grown so much. And that's great news as well for marketers because we don't have to just invest in one thing. We can keep trying different things out on different platforms. For part of my project, I paid particular attention to the field of marketing research, which involves talking with consumers and prospective consumers to get their insights on how a product will perform or how it is performing if it's already released into the market. As of August 2020, which was several months into the pandemic, 69% of survey respondents reported that face-to-face research was the most affected part of the sector, particularly when it comes to qualitative research. This makes a lot of sense because there were so many regulations in terms of social distancing and lockdown. This information comes from the Marketing Research Society, which is actually from the UK, but they provide resources to marketing researchers across the globe. This type of research that was limited is most effective for garnering insights on hard-to-reach groups and upholding standards that historically couldn't be met using other methods. So it's becoming even more important that marketers learn how to uphold these standards when they can't talk face-to-face with people. It's also extremely important to reach marginalized groups when it comes to doing marketing research. Otherwise, you're not providing fair data and you might leave out an entire group of people who could truly benefit from your product or service. Online qualitative research was heavily relied on during the pandemic because things could not be taking place face to face, and there was a 39% increase during the same time that there was such a drastic decrease in things like focus groups and one-on-one interviews. When it came to the necessity of changing marketing tactics as a result of the pandemic, consumer behavior played a huge role in this. Forbes senior contributor John Hall examined the lasting impact of COVID-19 on the marketing industry, particularly as it related to the ways that customers are shopping. He believes that consumers care about their purchases on a much more meaningful level than prior to the pandemic. In other words, they want to give their business to companies who they believe are doing the right thing. This could explain the proliferation of companies pursuing things like B Corp certification or pushing their sustainability efforts out in different ad types. This is an interesting opportunity for marketing teams because not only are they marketing their product or service, but they're also marketing their brand and what they can do for consumers. On another note, consumers may have had less money during the pandemic, possibly as a result of not being able to work or having to spend more money on various items, but they were willing to listen to brands who spoke to them on a human level and acknowledged their concerns. If there were two similar products and one of them had greater values in their mind, they may have been willing to spend a little bit more to support that company. Hall refers to one tactic that marketers can use as unbaked content. That's marketing materials that don't seem like marketing materials. They're more authentic, they're more human, and they're aimed at promoting conversation, not just a sale. From my experience in marketing, I know how important it is to tell the consumer that they are the hero of the story, and your product is simply the guide that can help them achieve greater goals. In the CMO survey that I referenced, marketers believed that consumers would care the most about trusted relationships as 2021 began. Neha Singh at BAM Communications, a marketing agency, says it best. During most crises, marketing teams are the first to go, but this crisis is different. Right now, internet usage is up by 50 to 70%. While your customers may not be buying, they're engaging. You'll need marketers who can stretch your dollar and who aren't afraid to experiment. I think that this truly shows how unique the COVID-19 pandemic was when it came to marketing. A lot of people have negative perceptions of the marketing team because oftentimes it can be hard to attribute the marketing efforts to overall customer success. You may not be able to say, this specific social media post led this customer to purchase from us. It can be hard to track those kinds of things, which also can explain the increase in automation, which I will discuss in just a second. However, I believe that Neha is spot on when she says that marketers are needed more than ever as a result of this pandemic because someone has to figure out how consumers want to purchase, and there's no one better than people who can truly tap in to research, insights, and especially consumer behavior. There's such a human aspect to marketing, and that's something that simply cannot go away. When it comes to my post-grad plans, not much has changed since my freshman year before the pandemic began. COVID didn't make me any less interested in pursuing a career in marketing, although the skills necessary to be successful on my path have altered a little bit. According to the HubSpot annual report from 2021, the most undervalued skills to have as a marketer in the current landscape include persuasion and prioritization. I believe I can learn persuasion in the current landscape through writing assignments and sales practice, things that can be taught in a classroom. Prioritization, however, will take some field training and experience, both in my internships and also after I graduate, quite frankly. I have been lucky enough to have 2 marketing-related internships during my years of college, and both have taken place after the start of the pandemic. While I don't have a reference of what marketing was like prior to the start of the spread of the disease, I have been trained in post-pandemic best practices. I feel optimistic that marketing roles will continue to be open throughout my professional career. I don't think that the job is going anywhere. Despite the increasing reliance on automation, like I touched on just before, there is a human aspect to marketing and marketing research that can't be replaced. People are much more willing to have a conversation with someone than to speak with a robot online, even if it is a little bit easier in some cases. I'm also incredibly grateful to have experience using automation tools like HubSpot, which was a very valuable resource for this project. I hopefully can stand out as a candidate because I have certification using platforms like that. My internship at a marketing agency this summer will allow me to do even more research on how marketing has changed and what it looks like just this moment. I'm part of the strategy team, and I'm very excited to dive in more to these resources. I'll also get to work closely with a social media strategist who can teach me all about the e-commerce developments coming to our favorite social media platforms. As a tennis player, I was always told I was scrappy on the court. Now I need to be scrappy in the workplace. There are few areas for mistakes when content from marketers is so public facing, although innovation and testing still play a major role in overall success for any marketing team. I'm excited to begin working after graduation, but I plan to soak up as much as I can in the classroom before then. This research project taught me that while a lot has changed, a lot has stayed the same as well, and I'm excited to see more developments unfold as the way that consumers interact with information from businesses continues to change. Thank you.